Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes inked a 10-year, $450 million contract extension. That's going to be tacked on to the final 2 years of his current rookie contract. So that means the deal total is worth 12 years, up to $503 million. Think about that. A $500 million man, the richest contract in U.S. sports history. To me, he's worth every single penny. And that's the guy who transformed the Chiefs organization. And that's the guy in today's NFL. If you have Patrick Mahomes, you have a shot, not just to compete, not just to, win a division. You have a legitimate shot and should be Super Bowl contenders, if not favorites, year in and year out. So now with that contract, with the man being a $500 million man, how many Super Bowls should be expected? I don't think it's enough to just say, okay, we want to be contenders. We want to try for the AFC West division every year. And then from there, it's a crapshoot. No. You're paying for Super Bowls at that point. You are paying to win Super Bowls. If we're sitting here in 10 years from now, in 2030, and Patrick Mahomes still has one Super Bowl, we're going to be talking about what the hell happened, wasted career, hopefully nothing injury-wise. We had Brandon Marshall a few weeks ago go on Colin Cowherd's show, say that Aaron Rodgers' career is wasted in Green Bay because they only won one Super Bowl. I think so far, at least, the upside, the potential, Patrick Mahomes is more talented and has a higher upside than Aaron Rodgers. And he's one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever play this game, if not the most talented quarterback to ever play the position in Aaron Rodgers. So how many should be expected? To me, it has to be at least two starting from this point. The bar has to be 2 Super Bowls in 12 years. I personally think, looking at the Chiefs, looking at the roster construction, they will get to 4. I think when it's all said and done, in these 12 years, Patrick Mahomes will have the second most Super Bowl victories by a quarterback in history. Now, sounded outlandish, hyperbolic, maybe prisoner of the moment. I get it. But there's, I think, a few legitimate reasons to think that this is attainable. At least 2 for sure, but I think 4 is legitimately in the ballpark. And here's number 1. Looking at the contract, looking at the structure, despite getting $500 million, Patrick Mahomes took the Tom Brady approach. And here's what I mean by that. I want to listen to this clip. So Patrick Mahomes did a news conference on Tuesday discussing the contract, and some questions were saying that he left money on the table. He basically didn't get everything he could have gotten. Here's Patrick Mahomes' answer to that question, if he could have gotten more, if he should have gotten more.
You want to have great players around you. You don't want to be a guy that takes up all the money and then all of a sudden you're having to find different guys that will take cheaper deals. Because, you want to those guys need to be rewarded as well. It's not about one person. And I truly believe that. I know the situation that I was brought into and how good of a situation it was, where I got to sit a year behind a great quarterback who taught me a lot. Then I got to play with a lot of great players the moment I stepped on the football field. And so I understand that I have a bigger perspective, I guess you would say, of how to go out there and obviously get the security that I want, but at the same time, reward the guys that have helped me be the person that I am and be the player that I am. And I feel like with the contract and how it was done, I feel like I got both of those things. We're going to be able to reward players and keep a lot of these guys around that have built the culture even before I was here. And at the same time, I have the security that I know that my future generations will be able to have.
So think about it. Listen to that. Patrick Mahomes said his motivation now is, sure, he could have got more money. Sure, the salary cap is going to go up in a few years, and the smart thing to do, if he truly wanted everything he could possibly get, was continue to take short-term deals. Because long-term contracts, they always end up being cheaper because guess what? The salary cap only increases. But despite knowing that, Patrick Mahomes still want to take the deal now because he said, you know what? I don't want to be the guy that takes too much money to where my other players can't get paid. Where the other pieces that are playing well, the offensive line, tight end and Travis Kelce, receiver and Tyreek Hill, those guys that help me be my best, if they can't get paid, if now we have to constantly lose those guys and bring in rookies and bring guys in on cheaper contracts because I took up too much of the salary cap, I'm taking up too much money, that's not what he wants to be. So like I said, he's taking the Tom Brady approach here, which, as you know, you can look at the Patriots dynasty. Part of the reason why they were able to be so successful for 2 decades, part of the reason why they're able to win 6 Super Bowls was because Tom Brady was never even close to being the highest paid player, let alone quarterback, on his team. He always restructured his deal. He always was able to give the Patriots cap flexibility so they were able to bring in and pay some guys to bring some talent around him on the offense or the defense. That is how dynasties get built. That is how dynasties sustain themselves. Because you still have, despite locking up a franchise player, despite having the best player in the game on your team, you still need pieces offensively and defensively to win a championship. It is still very hard to win a Super Bowl. So Patrick Mahomes citing the fact that, hey, listen, sure, it's easy to, took $500 million, looks great. But there's a lot of money that he could have gotten. But instead, he wanted to leave it there because he wants more cap flexibility for the Chiefs to be able to retain and sign some key players going forward in these next 12 years. So think about it. In 2022, the NFL television rights are going to be up. And from things you read, from projections of what the contracts are going to look like, the salary cap is going to skyrocket and maybe even double. Because those TV contracts are going to, if not double, get close to doubling their value in some cases. Go from $1 billion to $2 billion. $2 billion to $4 billion. There's going to be a ton of cash influxed into the NFL coming after the 2022 season, which means a lot more players are going to get paid, a lot more spending ability for these teams, and that's why you see players like Dak Prescott, who is fighting, and the reason why Dak Prescott and the Cowboys haven't signed a long-term deal yet is because of not the money, it's the years. Dak Prescott wants a shorter deal. He wants 4 years. The Cowboys want him for 5 years or longer. Why? Because Dak realizes more money is coming to the league. That means I can get back on the market quicker when I'm still young and get a massive deal. So Patrick Mahomes, like I said, signing a 12-year deal. Sure, you look at the $500 million price tag and say, wow, that's a lot of money. He left a lot of money on the table. And you look, Travis Kelce is going to be free agent in 2 years. Tyreek Hill is going to be free agent in 3 years. The offensive line has 2 years with the majority of the core left before they get to free agency, have to be re-signed or replaced. So sure, right now they have a great team. But that's going to change in 2 years and 3 years. That, if there's not enough money, that team is going to look drastically different than it does today. So Patrick Mahomes cited the fact that he doesn't want to be the guy that's taking up so much money in the cap, doesn't want to take up so much money where the Chiefs don't have flexibility to continue to rebuild and add pieces to be successful. So that's one reason why. Taking the Tom Brady approach is I do think the Chiefs are going to have a dynasty. I think 4 Super Bowls is legitimately attainable out of 12 years. Number 2, what is the easiest way to win right now in the NFL? Great quarterback play. And guess what? Like we just talked about, the Chiefs have the best there is. This last Super Bowl was the greatest example of how in today's game in 2020, great offenses are better and defeat great defenses. You always hear the old cliche, defense wins championships. Defense wins championships. That is always the old football cliche. Guess what? In 2020, that's not the case. Because for 3.5 quarters, the San Francisco 49ers played great defense. They did. They fooled Patrick Mahomes. They stuffed that lethal passing game. And for, again, 3.5 quarters, the Chiefs couldn't do anything. But what happens? Greatness found itself in Patrick Mahomes. He kept fighting, kept pushing, and guess what? They broke through. They erased a 10-point deficit. They scored and won Super Bowl. Great offense in today's game, with the rules the way they are, always defeats great defenses. And the Chiefs have the best there is at the most important position there is. So they are set. And now they're set for another 12 years. Not to mention Andy Reid, a great offensive-minded head coach, a gifted play caller, has already elevated Patrick Mahomes to an insane level in a short amount of time, has shown zero signs of retiring. Patrick Mahomes talked to Andy Reid before signing this deal, asking him how long he thinks he has left in him. And Andy Reid said, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. Andy Reid's no dummy. His entire career, the question was, can he get over the hump? Can he win a Super Bowl? Will he be one of the best coaches to never win a Super Bowl? He finally gets the monkey off his back and wins the Super Bowl this past year. But guess what? Andy Reid realizes he is set right now for 3, 4, 5, 6 years where it's going to be Super Bowl or bust. The window has never been greater for Andy Reid to cash in on 2, 3, 4 Super Bowls. So Andy Reid is going to be in the saddle for a little bit. And the Chiefs have the best quarterback in the most important position in the game. So that's another reason why I'm saying 4 is legitimate, 4 is attainable. And finally, let's not forget this fact. Patrick Mahomes has started 2 years in the league. He's been in the league 3 years. He started for 2. In those 2 years, he won a league MVP, won a Super Bowl MVP. He's going to be just 25 years old by the time the season starts. So with that little experience, only 2 years as a starter, still 25, I mean, he hasn't even hit his peak yet. Not to mention, we see guys like Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers playing well into their 40s or plan to play into their 40s. So the best is still yet to come, which is just insane to think about. So you have all this room for development, all this room for growth, all this potential to still get better. On top of already being the best quarterback in the league, on top of already leaving money on the table so your team can have financial flexibility in later years to restock and reload this team. So how many Super Bowls should the Chiefs expect to win? By giving Patrick Mahomes a $503 million deal for 12 years? I'm saying at least 2. At least 2 Super Bowls will make the contract worth it from here, so 3 total. I think he can win 4. And 4 starting from today. I truly think Patrick Mahomes can get to 5 Super Bowls, fall just shy of Tom Brady. Surpass guys like Joe Montana, Terry Bradshaw, and wind up with the second most Super Bowls by a quarterback. And that's just in the 12 years. I'm not saying throughout his career. I'm saying in this 12-year deal, I think he can truly get 4 Super Bowls in 12 years. And guess what? By the time that deal's over, it'll be 37. As we know, again, Aaron Rodgers playing until 40. Tom Brady's 43. Drew Brees is in his 40s. He still could have another 5 years left in him to get 1 or 2 more. So I'm saying at least 2 is the bare minimum for this contract to be worth it. I truly think Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs can win 4 Super Bowls in this next 12 years. I would love to get your thoughts. I'm curious your thoughts. How many Super Bowls would make this contract worth it? How many Super Bowls would validate a $500 million contract for the Kansas City Chiefs? And how many do you think they actually can win? Because right now, the future is bright. They returned 20 of 22 starters from this past Super Bowl winning team. So they are reloading. They will be favorites again. The AFC, outside of the Ravens, there's no real contenders there. The NFC is tough, don't get me wrong. But Tom Brady's aging. Drew Brees is aging. Russell Wilson's still young, but he's getting up there a little bit. Aaron Rodgers. Well, the AFC is built for young quarterbacks. The NFC is a lot more older ones. So I think right now the landscape is there for the Chiefs to capitalize, especially in the short term, the next 2, 3, 4 years, to get a few.